What are the biggest questions post All-Star break about the Hornets? And can the Hornets just skip the play-in tournament altogether on their path to a playoff spot? That's all today. Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We are free and available anywhere you get your pods, and that includes YouTube. There's Doug Branson. He's a part of everyhornetsboxscore.com. He's the head honcho over there at everyhornetsboxscore.com. Go check it out. He's also a part of Yahoo Sports Daily, behind the scenes. Jason Fitz, Caroline Fenton doing an excellent job of hosting Yahoo Sports Daily. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 FM. And we're talking Hornets over there. National spotlight is on the Hornets. Post All-Star break. Can they actually get to the playoffs? They got to weather the storm here without Moussa Diabate and Miles Bridges for the next 3 games. But at least they won against Atlanta to get to the 9 seed heading into All-Star break. And we'll see if they can hit the ground running here. We'll get to the playoff chances, really the path to an outright playoff spot over the play-in tournament. Is there a way that we can just leapfrog it? Can we do that? That's a big-time question for the Hornets as well. Okay, biggest questions, though, surrounding this team the rest of the way. Biggest questions surrounding this team post All-Star break. Let's start with you, Doug. What's the big question that you have for the people?
I think my big question is around the biggest force on the team, and that, of course, is LaMelo Ball. The Hornets still go as LaMelo Ball goes, and so my question for LaMelo is, will his self-created offense improve, and how much does it really even matter if it does? So I've got a few numbers for you, and then I would love to get your thoughts.
Yeah.
So right now, he is putting up career lows in points per shot attempt, in shooting foul percentage, like the percentage of his possessions that end in a shooting foul, career low, and in mid-range accuracy, that floater that was so deadly even a season ago has completely abandoned him. I don't think he even goes to it as much, but the mid-range accuracy, career low. Now, interestingly enough, career high in rim accuracy. It's still below average, but it's sitting right there in the 44th percentile. But he has routinely been towards the bottom of the league in rim accuracy. So he's actually making more of the shots that he gets around the rim. It's everywhere else that's been a little bit of a struggle. And yet, and this is where the second part of my question comes in, right. And yet, the team is still plus 12.7 on offense when he's on the floor, which puts him only behind one player in the league of his minutes, played. And that's Nikola Jokic. He's the second most impactful player to his team offensively to Nikola Jokic. It is insane the impact that he has despite some of those offensive lows that I just told you. So I don't even know if it really matters if it improves all that much. But can you imagine if LaMelo was playing at a similar efficiency level offensively that he was the last time the Hornets had any postseason action when they went to the play-in?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The on-off numbers for him, they've been crazy all year long. We've known how ridiculous they are, and it's because he's a magician, and he makes everybody else better around him. If you give him NBA talent, something that we've been talking about for quite some time, now that you have Khan, Brandon, and Miles, and Moussa out in the starting lineup, all of them real NBA players to varying degrees, to where even all of them are good. Just talked about the young trio. They have a realistic opportunity to be an all-star next year. LaMelo, Brandon, and Khan, all of them have a realistic shot at being all-stars, and LaMelo unlocks it. He's the key. And something I've been saying here recently, it's not LaMelo is not the straw that stirs the drink. He's the cup that holds it together. He allows you to prosper. He quenches your thirst. With no LaMelo, there's no cup, and all you have is liquid on the floor. It doesn't work, right? He's the cup that holds it together. Does it matter? Honestly, as crazy as it sounds, it doesn't matter all that much. But think about it, Doug. If he just is even somewhat average on his floaters, which he does go to it quite a bit still, maybe not as much as he used to, looking at synergy numbers last night, he still goes to it a decent amount, but he's second worst in the league on floaters. He's below 0.8 points per 100 possessions, or 0.8 points per possession. It's really, really bad. Like, it's real bad for LaMelo.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's I mean, almost dead last. Yet you would think that's going to go up, right? Like, it's not just going to stay down there the rest of the way. So
That's
then you
my question.
imagine that the LaMelo floater will start to just climb up a little bit in those rankings. Are we saying that this team could actually be better offensively than the best team offensively in the NBA? It's kind of wild. So in the playoffs, I think it's going to matter. You're going to want him to have a better efficiency in the playoffs. The rest of the way, though, here in the regular season, with a middling strength of schedule, I think they're 18th in the NBA with remaining strength of schedule, which clearly isn't bad. I don't think it matters the regular season. I think it matters in the postseason.
No, ding, ding, ding. I think you're totally right. And that was ultimately where I landed on my question. It has to improve when they get into the postseason, because I think if they get to a first-round series, it turns into a chess match of defenses deciding which player to key in on. So maybe in game one, they try to take LaMelo away and Khan goes off and Brandon goes off. And then they're going to have to adjust and try to take those guys away. And that's when LaMelo has to be able to step up and have that game when the defense is not quite as keyed in on him. Can he step up and make the plays, not at the rim, because he's doing a little bit better at that, but around the rim? And can he create his own shot? In the playoffs, you have to have your best players creating their own shots, because that's all it comes down to. All of this wonderful ball movement and unselfishness that we've seen from the Hornets, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it sets the tone, it's great in the regular season. In the playoffs, it's so much about my guy's going to try to score, then your guy's going to try to score against everybody. I mean, SGA won a championship just going 1-on-4 against the opposing team's defense and coming away with free throws or points. And so that's what it's going to come down for LaMelo. And honestly, like, everything that I've seen out of him and the dedication that he has towards his game and towards this team, he's doing the right thing for them now. I think he'll do the right thing for them in the playoffs. He'll step up his game, and it's going to be beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Take that, haters. Take that, people that get in the comments all the time and call me a LaMelo hater.
I'm guessing that happened.
What?
But
What?
No, you're just preemptively saying that. It's not like it happened before.
It's ridiculous.
No. Well,
sorry. I'm sorry. I look at the numbers and tell you what the numbers are. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it happens. All right, let's move on. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
What's your biggest question?
Bees everywhere!
Yeah, we'll get to some other questions. Rapid fire, because, of course, we stick with it. Plus, not only do we have the questions for you, but is there a path for the Hornets to get to the 6th seed and skip the play-in tournament altogether? That's still to come. Locked On Hornets. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Appreciate them, as always. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, and the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grabbing a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now you can pick your cash, but it could also send you to the finals. Not only can you pick your cash, but you can also send yourself to the finals here. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Want to tell you about the Everydayers Club, by the way. Go to lockedonhornets.supercast.com for a chance to enter the Everydayers Club. It's just $5 a month. If you want to pay for the whole year, you save 17%, $50 for the year. You get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Hornets. You get an invite to the members-only Locked On Hornets group chat, and you get exclusive access to plenty of other things. Plus, you get a chance at some exclusive Locked On Hornets gear, which is nice. So all you have to do is go to lockedonhornets.supercast.com. That's lockedonhornets.supercast.com to join the Everydayers Club. Yeah, the big question. Oh, you got something. What you got?
Just really quickly, I wanted to piggyback off of something that you said in the first segment. You said that LaMelo isn't the straw that stirs the drink. He's the cup that holds the drink.
Yeah.
I would go one step further. I would say not only is he the straw, not only is he the cup, he's the bladder that eventually holds the drink, because if he wasn't there, the Hornets would pee all over themselves.
So, yeah, everybody else is the PP and LaMelo is the actual drink beforehand. Fair enough. I think that's the thing, though. Right? Like, his being a basketball savant, his being a magician, a warlock, unlocks all of this, which is why, we talked about not having a point guard out there with the starters and it being pretty devastating offensively. Here's the other thing about LaMelo too, what has been weird recently. I feel like the Hornets have actually generated a decent amount of good looks from the perimeter without LaMelo in the game, and they're missing without LaMelo. And look, maybe I'm too galaxy braining this. I don't know if there's some kind of way that LaMelo hits those guys on the perimeter. I don't know if LaMelo is hitting them in different spots. Todd Licklider, Butler basketball coach, Iowa basketball coach. It's a deep pull for the sickos. But he used to say good shooting teams are good passing teams, and LaMelo is the best passer on the team. And I wonder if he hits him in the pocket. Does he hit him in rhythm? Is there something going on there that I just haven't paid enough attention to? But there are good looks when even Sion is out there with the starters on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. In the paint is when it starts to get real wonky, because LaMelo can get to the paint and then he can kick and dish to everybody else, draw the defense in, throw the lobs at the right time. Like, in the paint passing, that's when you are really bleeped without LaMelo out there on the floor. And that stuff matters. So anyways, he's the cup. He's everything, baby. My biggest question is, can you just navigate these waters without Moussa and Miles for the next few games? Because I'll allow this to parlay into can they get to the 6 seed conversation, Doug? Every win's going to matter a lot. It's possible for them to get to the 6th spot. It is possible. If you look at the ESPN analytics, Dean Oliver at @DeanO_lytics. Oh, I like it. DeanOlytics, baby. This is
you know who that is, right? You know who that is.
Maybe I don't. Who is it?
Dean Oliver is like the godfather of NBA statistics. This guy's
is that
like
right? I didn't know that.
Like a legend.
And follow. Thank you very much. He just earned a follow from me. Dean O_lytics, the godfather of analytics / Deanalytics. He has this record for every team to get to a top 6 seed. And for the Hornets, Doug, it's 20-7. Mm-hmm. All they need to do, according to the Deanalytics here, is go 13-14 to reach the play-in tournament. I think most of us feel good about that. I'll still knock on wood because of previous pain. But 13-14 gets you in the play-in. 20-7 gets you to the playoffs to where you can skip the play-in altogether. Man, you got the Rockets, you got the Cavs coming up next. Can you split those 2 games, win one of the hard ones without 40% of your starting lineup, even with a strength of Houston's being there rebounding, and you're losing the 2 best rebounders that you have with a good rebounding team? But Moussa and Miles, they're fantastic guys off of the glass. So can you counter that somehow, some way with some shooting? And I just wonder how they navigate that. And to give you something a little bit more substantial outside of just the small 3-game sample that we're going to have without Moussa and Miles, Coby White, how big of an addition is he going to be? Because you're going to need somebody off of the bench to provide some real punch. And Coby is that guy for you. It's why you made the move.
How available is Coby White going to be? Is it going to be right after the All-Star break? Is it going to be 5 games after the All-Star break? How different will he be than Colin Sexton, the player that he is going to replace? Those are all great questions for the back half. And I still think like they've got to go on one more big run. It doesn't need to be a 9-game winning streak, but I think they do need to go on one more big run to get to that 20-7 mark, because they essentially have to play like 2nd or 3rd seed in the East basketball to get to the 6th seed. And before you think, well, that's asking a little too much, in the last 20 games, the Hornets have a net rating of +10. That's good for 2nd in the league, not in the conference, in the league. And they're 2nd in offensive rating, they're 4th in defensive rating, and that's the last 20 games. I'm not even just sort of shortening it to the to the streak time. That's the last 20 games. They have been playing excellent basketball. So that 20-7 mark is certainly possible. but a lot has to go right. They do. I think they have to at least, split or go 1-2. So you grab the Wizards game. If you lose Rockets and Cavs, you go 2-2 over the games that they were missing Moose and Miles. You got to at least do that. But if you steal one of those Cavs or Rockets games, okay, things start to get really interesting.
Right, which is why I know it's kind of weird to say a big question is really hidden within this 3-game sample, but every win, it matters in this one, man, because they dug themselves such a hole. And that's not fair to say that they dug themselves this hole, but they started in a hole because of the injuries, because of Brandon's injury, LaMelo missing some time, but now they're healthy. They've set the league on fire ever since Moussa was inserted into the starting lineup and people started to get healthy. My God, you got the 9-game winning streak. They're fighting the Pistons. So all that matters. Plus, the only big-time change that you've made within the team, like big-time change, it's subbing Colin out for Coby White. And you've done that partly because you want to thread the needle for the present and the future. Jeff Peterson and the reports say that they want to keep Coby White long-term. But this 25-game sample of Coby, whatever it is, it's going to go a long way. And if he provides a big boost for you, well, now it gives you just a little bit of a cushion for those starters not to just have to ball out like hell every single night. Maybe Coby can help you out if not every starter is going for 25 plus in these games.
I would be interested to see, too, like how aggressive they are about going for that top 6 seed. Because they could start to play LaMelo Ball more minutes. They could start to play the starters who have been, one of the best, if not the best starting unit in the league over the last 20 games.
Crazy.
They could play them more. They could shorten the rotation. But that always comes with some kind of fatigue/injury risk that so far the Hornets have been very careful not to try to tempt. So that will be interesting to me too. Like as much as we look at that 20-7 number and think, oh wow, that's possible with the way they've been playing. It also requires the Hornets to actually go after it in a rotational way. And so I think it'll be interesting to see if they go, well, no, actually like the benefits of taking care of those players' bodies outweigh the benefits of having the secure playoff spot. Because if we get to 7, and by the way, that's became more realistic today with the news that Franz Wagner of the Orlando Magic, star forward for them, is going to be out indefinitely, at least 3 weeks, as he continues to rehab an ankle sprain injury. So that's the Magic are 7, the Heat are 8. So there's some vulnerability there. And if you get to 7, that's a home game opportunity to get in and play the 2 seed. So that, they may look at it and say, this is still a long-term plan, by the way. This has never been about this season. And so we got to take care of those bodies. They just might not be aggressive enough to get to that 20-7 number.
Yeah, by the way, the Deanalytics reference that I made earlier, these are all the records for each team that they need for a top 6 seed with 90% confidence. That's where the Hornets figure comes in at 20-7. The Magic right now, 18-11. The Hawks, 20-6. The Heat, 17-9. So kind of all within that same realm. The Hornets just barely a little more margin for error than the Hawks, which makes sense because they're barely ahead of the Hawks in the standings. Maybe we take a look at the schedule on the other side of the break after you get this last point.
We can do that. Zach Lowe had some interesting comments I wanted to get to as well. Speaking of vulnerabilities, Paul George still out for the 76ers because of the drug ding that he got. So that's another thing. The Raptors, are they really for real? We'll see in the back half of this. I always say back half because I take the All-Star break. I know it's not a half. But this back portion of the schedule, are the Raptors for real? Because I think it's like Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, Cavs. Though, to me, that's a lock. That's probably 1 through 4 lock. Maybe the Cavs and the Knicks and the Celtics swap spots. But that's the lock. Raptors, 76ers, some vulnerability there. Opportunity if the Hornets go on another big run, they could get that 6th seed for sure.
All right, let's do it. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
Maybe some final observations on the schedule ahead for Charlotte. Plus, we got to get to Zach Lowe's comments. He talked about Charlotte, and he talked about the lack of Moose merch. Charlotte, what are you doing? We'll get to it here in just a second. This episode is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way, and there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing gets missed, and it works right from your phone or your computer, and you can even keep your existing number while you're at it. It's no surprise. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2. Trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's Q-U-O, quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. This episode is also brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. This is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored jobs. It helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, and location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Okay, you went down the schedule just for a little bit. I think some of the things to highlight with what the Hornets have coming up, talked about the 3 games ahead without Moussa and Miles. Houston, Cleveland, Washington. Yeah, hope they can beat Washington without Moussa and Miles. Houston, Cleveland, that's going to be the tough part. They have the 4-game roadie. They have the 7-game homestand, which is very nice. But what's going to be interesting is once we get back to the very, very end of the schedule, they got a really tough 4-game slate to end the season. It's bad. So they have Indiana on April 3rd. Okay, that's nice. That's at home too. Okay, like that. But then you have 3 out of your next 4 on the road. And then April 5th, you have Minnesota. April 7th, you have Boston. Both of those games are on the road. April 10th, you're back home against Detroit. And then on the road, you finish April 12th against the New York Knicks. So this thing could come down to, man, what if you had maxed out at 7 losses by the time you get to the last 4? Or maybe you have 6 losses and you get to that final 4 home stretch and all you can afford is 1 more loss. Can you go 3-1? It's going to be tough, man. But it's possible for the Hornets to do this. And 20-7 doesn't guarantee you anything. Maybe it doesn't take 20-7, right? We can figure out exactly the scenario they need to get in as we go on. But I think the spirit of this comment, the spirit of the record, it's going to be tough. It's not impossible. It's not even the craziest thing that we've ever seen. It's still within the realm of possibility, but it clearly is going to be hard for this team. Okay. Any final comments here?
I got a couple of schedule notes before we go to Zach Lowe. So luckily they're done with Toronto and they have the tiebreaker. They got the tiebreaker 2-1. There's no going back on that. They had the opportunity to avenge 2 early losses to the Miami Heat and at least get into the running for the tiebreaker with the Heat because they've got 2 games left of that. Yep. I mean, those essentially, I think, might end up being like must wins. And they have 1 more game against Orlando. That's going to be a key game. In fact, total 4 games against those Toronto, Philadelphia, Miami, Orlando, the 4 teams above them that would be in the running for the 6th seed. 4 games against those teams. And then, the end of the season, they've still got 3 games against Boston in this back portion, and 2 of them come at the very end. I mean, you could go back to March 26th. That's how many games? 3, 6, 9. Their last 10 games they get a breather, quote unquote, against Brooklyn and then Indiana, and that's it. You got New York, Philly, Boston, Phoenix, Minnesota, Boston, Detroit, New York. I mean, they better have their big boy pants on.
It's going to be difficult, no doubt about it. So with that being the schedule, now we got to work on the merch. Zach Lowe, at least, think that the Hornets have to work on the merch, because I would say, we can get to the Moose stuff in a second, but he did have another comment about the standings, where the Hornets are. I think he was talking about this with Rob Mahoney on the latest Zach Lowe Show episode, and they were trying to figure out if the Hornets were just the 5th best team in the East, and I don't know if that's exactly how they put it. What the way they phrased it was, are the Hornets the team that you trust the 5th most? Are they the 5th team that you have your most trust in here in the Eastern Conference? And, Doug, I see that you have written down here, is Zach Lowe gassing up the Hornets a little too much? I'll ask you with your own question here, and we'll get your answer. Do you think that Zach Lowe is gassing the Hornets up a little too much?
I mean, I love it. It's not just about Zach Lowe. It's like wherever you turn, including the show that I produce, Yahoo Sports Daily. And let me just tell you, I did not, because I'm coming in as a producer, I sort of try to check my own biases. It's a national show. So I'm not all the time pitching Hornets. If there's a big story, then I'll provide my perspective. But, I just feel like you should check your biases a little bit. I don't even have to drive the train anymore. They just love talking about the Hornets. Everyone loves talking about the Hornets. I am getting a little scared that they're being gassed up too much. And that's not about the Hornets. That's about my own trauma of being like, oh, I think they're good now. And then they get on national TV and they get absolutely housed. I mean, the 2 play-in games, I could go on and on with the trauma that I have around the Hornets. In fact, today I flashed a picture of Giannis Antetokounmpo on YSD, and he was in that classic Bucks uni, the Ray Allens, Clifford the Big Dog, the 2000-2001 Bucks. And I said my Hornets trauma is really being triggered right now, because that of course were the jerseys that kept the Hornets out of what would have been their only Eastern Conference Finals appearance. So I've got trauma for days on the Hornets. What gives me hope is that this Hornets roster, and I'm going to include Charles Lee into this as well, that coaching staff, Kemba Walker, the entire coaching staff, Lamar Skeeter, everyone seems different. Everyone seems focused on a message of ignore the noise, focus on improving every single day, focus on being unselfish, focus on doing what's best for the team, not getting too caught up in what people are saying on the outside. Con and LaMelo and Brandon, they all seem to be like quintessential, I'm ignoring the noise, focusing on what I have to do. And so for those reasons, I do fear it, but I don't fear it because of this team. I think this team could overcome it.
I don't know if it means that I'm naive and haven't learned from previous pain. At the same time, I'm not scared of this.
Young.
I look at them, saying that essentially just for the, sake of clarity and simplicity, basically Zach Lowe and Rob Mahoney saying, do we feel good about the Hornets just being the 5th best team in the Eastern Conference? And I don't have any problem saying that. I don't think it's me being biased. Philadelphia is a legit answer to put here. If Joel Embiid is healthy and Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe and that experience with Nick Nurse being a smart coach, if you wanted to put them ahead of Charlotte, totally understand that, totally get it. But we're simply asking the question.
We're just asking questions.
Just asking questions. That's what we've done here since 2018. Just asking questions. Can you put the Hornets in the top 4? No, can't be in the top 4. But they could be 5th if you wanted them to, because I would put them ahead of Toronto. If you care about the head-to-head stuff, Charlotte has played Toronto very well. In fact, they have the tiebreaker, as you mentioned, and the Raptors' only win against Charlotte came off the Emmanuel Quickley dagger at the very end with that buzzer beater. And that was the whole LaMelo needs to play more in the 4th quarter shindig. That loss actually really hurt us in a couple of different ways. At the same time, they have the tiebreaker over the Hawks too, which is huge, which I don't know if you mentioned that tiebreaker over Atlanta, but they did get that.
I didn't, but they do, yeah.
In the final game that they played before the All-Star break, that's massive. Just in case Atlanta goes on some kind of hot streak, and Jalen Johnson's talented enough to do some damage with the Hawks. So, yeah, I think it's just fine with the way that the starting lineup has been playing, with them getting Coby White. I think that's a good boost for them. I think it's just fine, and I'm not worried about them getting gassed too much.
Well, and the beauty of the situation that the Hornets find themselves in as a franchise is that they have all of these assets. So let's just say, for example, they do get into a first-round playoff series, and they just, whatever matchup they get is just not good. You know, they've got to play, massive size that counters some of the stuff that Moussa does or something. Like, all of the weaknesses that we know this Charlotte Hornets team has get exposed in a playoff series, and they go down, let's just say 4-1. Or maybe they just get smoked and go down 4-0. I mean, longtime Hornets and Bobcats fans are very familiar with the 4-0 bounce. But the reason why this would be different is because this team is younger, it's got more ceiling, and they have more assets. And so if Jeff Peterson examines a weakness, and I think people that are smart like Zach Lowe will look at that, will look at if they get bounced 4-0 and say, yes, they're out early and they're out and they didn't win a game, but look at all the opportunity. Because that's my whole argument for getting this team into the playoffs long ago, was you've got to get some intel. You got to know what you don't know. And the only way to do that is to get into the playoffs and see, how does LaMelo perform in a 7-game series? Now it's, how does Brandon Miller? How does Con Knippel? How does Miles Bridges, if he were actually in a playoff series? How does he deal with that? You've got to have that intel so that then in the next offseason, you can use this treasure trove of picks to actually go and do something and make this team into the playoff team you want them to be. So that's why this is all different. So my thing is, Zach Lowe, the Zach Lowe's of the world, everyone, gas away. Go gassy. Gas away, folks, because I don't think this Hornets team is going to be distracted by all of your gas.
And let's put more gas on the fire with the moose antlers, okay? Let's get some antlers that we're handing out. Maybe the first 10,000, first 15,000, everybody that has a ticket. Actually, let's just go there. Everybody that has a ticket, hand out the moose antlers. And then once Moose comes back, let's have a moose antler game, and then they can bring them to the stand. I mean, this really should be a thing. And I think this is one of those things where it feels like everybody wants credit for it, but it's one of those like simple things where you want credit for something that really everybody thought of. And look, whoever thought of it first, just go get the moose antlers and then go put them down. Right. Like, just go make them. And I do think
you're the franchise. You can monetize. You can do. You have people. You have resources. You have team stores. You have Hey, I keep breaking news to the team. You have an online store where you can just sell merchandise to people digitally. Yep. I mean, it's crazy. I just don't know why I don't know why these balls keep getting dropped. But if they get into a playoff series, yes, absolutely. You've got to go full force. Any memes, anything, just expose everything. You know what? To me, this is really simple. This is an atrophy situation. This is a franchise that has been down for 2 decades. 2 decades. The playoff, the almost Eastern Conference Finals series that I mentioned, the loss to the Bucks, that happened 25 years ago. That's a quarter century of being down and out. And so, yeah, you've got to relearn to walk again. And the only way to relearn to walk is get your moose antlers on, get some merchandise on the online store.
I tell you right now, I'm actually working the Rockets and the Cavs game for FanDuel. I would wear those as soon as they make them. Look, if they let me wear them for every single game, it's probably a little too much, but I would wear them at least for one broadcast. As long as everybody let me do it, I would absolutely do it. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods. That includes YouTube. Doug Branson on everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also on Yahoo Sports Daily, hosted by Jason Fitz and Caroline Fenton. I'm Walker Mayo. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio, 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
Bring me the antlers.